Welcome back to Bar Girl Baddies. Today's story isn't about a bar, a breakup, or a bar girl in the traditional sense. It's about something that traps just as effectively and costs a whole lot more. It's about property paradise, and the price of ignoring every single red flag because you want so desperately to believe you found the shortcut to freedom. Meet Marcus. 29 years old, from Vancouver, Canada. Software developer, smart guy. Good job. The kind of person who does spreadsheets before buying a toaster. The kind of person who thought he had it all figured out. He bought his dream condo in Bangkok's hottest district. 85 square meters on the 23rd floor with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. He paid 8.5 million baht for it. That's about 340,000 Canadian dollars. His entire life savings wired across the world in a single afternoon. 18 months later, he sold it for 5.1 million baht, a 40% loss. That's $136,000 just gone. Evaporated. And here's the thing that should make you lean in. He was relieved. Grateful, even. Because whatever he lost in that condo, the money was the least of it. So what could possibly be so bad that losing over 100 grand seemed like the better option? What turns a dream apartment into a prison? And why do so many of us, sitting in our expensive western cities, scrolling through property listings in Southeast Asia at 2 in the morning, think it could never happen to us? Before we dive in, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from, especially if you've ever considered buying property abroad, or if you've got a Bangkok story of your own. And if this resonates, if you've been in a situation where cutting your losses meant losing everything, hit that like and subscribe. You're not alone in this. Here's Marcus's story, in his own words. I need you to understand what Vancouver felt like in 2022. I was 27. I had a decent job at a mid-sized tech company doing back-end development. 75,000 a year. Sounds good, right? In any other city, maybe. But in Vancouver, I was barely surviving. My apartment was a 400 square foot box in East Van. One bedroom, if you're generous with the definition. The bedroom fit a double bed and nothing else. I'm talking, you had to shuffle sideways between the bed and the wall. The kitchen was 3 feet of counter space and a hot plate that only worked on one setting, which was somewhere between lukewarm and fire hazard. $2,400 a month plus utilities. That was half my take-home pay, gone before I even bought groceries. The rain didn't help. People romanticize the Pacific Northwest, but they've never lived through a Vancouver November. It starts raining in October and doesn't stop until April. Not the dramatic thunderstorm rain, the endless grey drizzle that gets into your bones and stays there. You wake up in the dark. You go to work in the dark. The sun sets at 4:30 and you haven't seen it anyway because it's been behind clouds for 6 weeks straight. I work from home 4 days a week, which sounds like a blessing until you realise you're staring at the same 4 walls 14 hours a day. Wake up, laptop, meetings, code reviews, stand-ups, Slack messages. Shut the laptop, look around your depressing apartment, order. Skip the dishes because you're too tired to cook. Watch Netflix, sleep. Repeat. My social life had evaporated. My girlfriend of 2 years, Amanda, had moved to Toronto for work. We tried long distance for 4 months before admitting it was over. My friends from university had scattered, some to the suburbs to have kids, some to other cities for jobs, some still around but too tired from their own grinding existence to make plans that weren't cancelled last minute. I was lonely, burnt out, going through the motions. And the worst part one was supposed to be grateful. I had a good job. I could afford my shoebox. I wasn't drowning in debt. By Vancouver standards, I was doing okay. But okay felt like dying in slow motion. That's when the algorithm found me. It started innocently enough. A YouTube video about digital nomads in Bali, then one about the cost of living in Thailand, then property investment channels, retirement, abroad channels. Guys my age living in beach towns working remotely and spending a third of what they spent back home. I fell down the rabbit hole hard. The numbers were what hooked me, not the lifestyle porn, though that helped. It was the math. The cold, hard spreadsheet reality that my Vancouver existence made no financial sense. I ran the calculations obsessively. My rent was $2,400 a month. In Bangkok, I could rent a luxury condo for $800. My groceries were $400 a month. In Bangkok, maybe $150. Going out for drinks was easily $100 a week. In Bangkok, $20. A decent dinner in Vancouver was $40 minimum. In Bangkok, I could eat like a king for $5, but renting seemed stupid when I started looking at purchase prices. This is where my brain really started doing backflips to justify what I wanted to do anyway. I had saved about 500,000 Canadian dollars. In Vancouver, that was a down payment. A 20% down payment on a shoebox condo that needed another 400,000 in mortgage. 30 years of debt for 400 square feet. In Bangkok, that same 500,000 could buy a place outright. No mortgage, no debt. Ownership, and not some decrepit studio. A proper luxury apartment in the city centre with a pool and a gym and a view. The kind of place I'd never afford in Vancouver, even if I worked until I was 60. The more I researched, the more inevitable it felt. Thai property law allows foreigners to own condos, as long as the building maintains 49% Thai ownership. Foreign quota, they call it. I watched probably 50 videos about it. Read 100 forum posts. Everyone said the same thing. Get in early. Buildings sell out their foreign quota fast. Property values only go up in the good areas. Rental yields are 6 to 8% if you want to rent it out. It's basically free money. I convinced myself this wasn't running away. This was financial optimization. This was taking control of my life. This was being smart with my money instead of pissing it away on Vancouver rent for the next 40 years. My company had gone fully remote during COVID and stayed that way. I could work from anywhere with decent internet. Bangkok had great internet. The time zone difference was manageable. Worst case, I'd work evenings to overlap with the Vancouver office. Small price to pay for paradise. I booked a 3-week reconnaissance trip, March 2022. Told my boss I was taking vacation to visit family. Told my actual family I was taking a solo trip to figure some things out. Neither was exactly a lie, but neither was exactly the truth either. The moment I stepped out of Suvarnabhumi Airport, I knew I was in trouble. The good kind of trouble. The kind that makes you rethink everything. The heat hit me like walking into a wall. 35 degrees, and humid enough that my shirt was soaked through before I made it to the taxi. But it felt alive. It felt like the opposite of Vancouver's grey death march. The taxi ride into the city was chaos. Motorcycles weaving through traffic, neon signs I couldn't read, street vendors grilling meat on the sidewalk at 11 at night, music and noise and life everywhere. I'd booked an Airbnb in Sukhumvit, Soi 24. It cost me $30 a night for a studio that would have been $200 in Vancouver. The building had a rooftop pool. I went up there the first morning and just floated on my back staring at the skyline and thought, this is it. This is what I've been missing. Everything was cheap. Obscenely cheap. A massive plate of pad thai from a street cart was $3. Fresh mango sticky rice was $2. A full Thai massage was $15. I went to a nice restaurant in Thong Lo, ordered 3 courses and drinks, and the bill was $25. In Vancouver, that meal would have been $100 easy. But it wasn't just the money, it was the energy. People were out. The streets were full at midnight. There were night markets and rooftop bars and little jazz clubs tucked down alleys. I felt connected to something again. I felt awake. On day 4, I contacted a real estate agent I'd found through an expat Facebook group. Her name was Ploy, 26, sharp dresser, fluent English. She picked me up in a nice car and spent the entire day showing me properties. We looked at everything. Sterile Japanese style, high-rises in a soke, older buildings with character near Fromfong. New developments in Thong Lo that were still under construction. Ploy had a pitch for each one. Investment potential. Rental yield. Foreigner-friendly buildings. She knew exactly what to say. The one that got me was in Thong Lo Soi 55. New building. Luxury finishes. 85 square meters, which is about 900 square feet. 2-bedroom, 23rd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows. The view stretched all the way to the Chao Phraya River on clear days. The building was still being finished. We walked through the model unit, and I could picture everything. My desk by the window. Morning coffee on the balcony, the pool downstairs, the gym, the sauna, the sky lounge on the 40th floor. 8.5 million baht. Ploy said it quickly like it wasn't a big number. I did the math in my head. About 340,000 Canadian. I had 500 saved. I could buy this outright and still have money left over. She watched me calculate and smiled. She knew she had me. This unit is special, she said. Last one in the foreign quota for this floor. Developer is offering special financing if you need it. But honestly, with your budget, you could own it outright. No debt. Can you imagine? Property in one of Bangkok's best areas, fully paid. At your age, there were so many red flags. Looking back, I can see every single one. But in the moment, all I felt was possibility. She pushed for a decision, not aggressively, just persistently. The foreign quota is filling fast. Another buyer is looking tomorrow. The developer is raising prices next month. If you're serious, we should move quickly. I can connect you with a lawyer who specializes in foreign purchases. He'll handle everything, make it easy. I should have slowed down. I should have hired an independent lawyer. I should have done more research. I should have at least waited until the building was actually finished before wiring my life savings. But I didn't want to be the guy who overthinks everything and misses out. I didn't want to be the guy still renting a shoebox in Vancouver at 40, wondering what if. I wanted to be the guy who took the leap. Who bet on himself. Who figured it out. We went to her lawyer's office. Nice place. English-speaking staff. Documents everywhere. He explained the process. Foreign ownership restrictions. The condo quota system. Title transfer procedures. It all sounded official and legitimate. I signed papers I barely understood. He said, "Don't worry, this is standard." Ploy nodded along like she'd seen this 100 times. The deposit was 1 million baht, about 40,000 Canadian. I wired it from my Vancouver account. The rest would be due at completion, which was projected for 8 months out, November 2020. That night, Ploy took me to dinner to celebrate. A nice place in Akamai. She ordered champagne, told me I'd made a great investment, that I was going to love living in Bangkok, that foreign owners in that building had become a real community. Poker nights, rooftop parties, everyone looking out for each other. I flew back to Vancouver in a daze, walked back into my depressing apartment, and it felt even smaller than before, even greyer, even more pointless. I tasted the alternative, and now this felt like prison. I gave notice at my apartment, started selling furniture, told my boss I was going fully remote and relocating abroad. He didn't love it, but didn't fight it. As long as the work got done, he didn't care where I was. My family thought I was having a breakdown. My mom cried. My dad said I was throwing my life away. My sister, who'd always been the responsible one, asked if I'd thought this through. I told them I had. I told them it was an investment. I told them I could always come back if it didn't work out. Amanda heard through mutual friends. She sent me a message. Just one line. "You're moving where?" I didn't tell anyone about the full financial commitment, not the 340,000. Not that it was my entire savings. I let them think I was renting, trying it out, keeping my options open. The truth felt too big to defend. The 8 months until completion dragged. I worked my Vancouver job from my Vancouver apartment that I'd already mentally left. I watched YouTube videos about Bangkok, learned basic Thai phrases, joined expat forums, planned my new life in obsessive detail. I wired the remaining balance in October, 7.5 million baht. I watched my Canadian bank account drop from healthy to nearly empty in one transaction. It should have terrified me. Instead, it felt like commitment, like burning the ships, like finally choosing myself. The building was ready in early November. Ploy sent photos. It looked perfect. She helped arrange a moving service for my things, which weren't much since I'd sold everything. Just clothes and my laptop and a few personal items. Starting fresh. I booked a one-way ticket. Landing at Suvarnabhumi the second time felt different. This wasn't vacation. This wasn't exploration. This was home. Or it was supposed to be. I'd bought the dream, paid for it in full. All I had to do now was live it. The taxi drove me to Thong Lo, to my building, to my condo. I had the keys in my hand, and the whole future spread out in front of me, and I felt like I'd won. Like I'd beaten the system. Like I'd figured out what everyone else was too afraid or too stupid to do. If only I'd known. If only someone had told me. If only I'd listened to the voice in my head that whispered, "This is too good to be true." But I didn't. I walked into that building with my suitcase and my laptop and my empty bank account and my head full of dreams. I walked in like a winner. I had no idea I'd just locked myself in a cage I'd paid a fortune to build. Move-in day was everything I'd imagined and more. The building gleamed in the afternoon sun. Glass and steel and modern lines. The lobby had marble floors and a waterfall feature, and staff in crisp uniforms who greeted me in English. "Welcome home, Kuhn Marcus." They knew my name. They smiled like they meant it. The elevator was fast and quiet. 23 floors up in seconds. The hallway was empty and clean. Recessed lighting, that new building smell. My door had a digital lock. I punched in the code Ploy had given me and heard the mechanism click open, and I swear my heart was pounding like I'd just won something. The condo was perfect, better than the model unit somehow. The floors were this light wood laminate that caught the sunlight. The kitchen had granite counters and all new appliances. The bathroom had a rain shower and heated floors. But the real glory was the living room. Floor-to-ceiling windows. The entire wall was glass. The view stretched out over Thong Lo. I could see Benjakiti Park in the distance, the expressway snaking through the city, the clusters of high-rises catching the light. At night, it would be a million lights spreading to the horizon. During the day, it was Bangkok in all its chaotic, sprawling glory. I stood there for probably 20 minutes just staring. This was mine. Paid in full, no landlord, no mortgage. Nobody could take this from me. I'd done it. 29 years old, and I owned a piece of paradise. The first month was exactly what I'd dreamed. I fell into a routine that felt like vacation, except it wasn't ending. I'd wake up around 7. The city would already be awake below me. But up on the 23rd floor, it was peaceful. I'd make coffee and sit on the balcony and watch Bangkok wake up properly. The heat would build, the traffic would thicken, the noise would rise. But I was above it all. I'd work out in the building gym around 9. It was always empty. Top floor, air-conditioned new equipment. Floor-to-ceiling windows there too. I'd run on the treadmill watching the city spread out beneath me, feeling like I was flying. Then the pool. Every single day. Olympic length, rooftop. The water was always perfect. I'd float on my back and stare at the sky and think about my friends back in Vancouver, sitting in traffic or staring at grey skies, and I felt like I'd unlocked some secret level of existence. Work started around 2 in the afternoon because of the time zone. That was fine. I'd spend mornings exploring. I'd walk down to Soi 55 and get khao man gai from a street cart for 40 baht. I'd try new coffee shops. I'd wander through the markets. Everything was an adventure. Everything was cheap. Everything was available. The building had maybe 60 units, and about half were occupied. Mostly foreigners. The foreign quota was maxed out. There were Brits and Aussies and Americans and a few Europeans. Everyone was friendly in that expat way. We'd nod at each other in the elevator, chat by the pool. The rooftop became the social hub. There was Derek from Manchester. Early 40s. Crypto trader. Always talking about market caps and liquidity pools and which altcoin was going to moon next. He seemed to be doing well. Nice watch, nice car. Always buying rounds. There was Tom from Sydney, mid-30s. Owned a bar in Akamai. Been in Bangkok 8 years. He had that weathered expat look. Too much sun. Too much booze. But happy. Or at least he seemed happy. There was a rotating cast of younger guys. English teachers mostly. Or guys who said they were English teachers, but you got the sense they were doing something else. Everyone had a hustle. Everyone had an angle. Everyone was winning, or at least everyone said they were. Thursday nights became poker night. Derek's place, usually. We play for small stakes. Drink beer, talk about Thailand stuff. Best street food. Visa runs. Where to get tailored suits. Which gyms were worth it. It felt like community. It felt like belonging. I met Knock on a Friday night in early December, a club in Thong Lo, one of those places with bottle service and a DJ and beautiful people everywhere. I'd gone with Derek and Tom. They knew the promoter, so we got a table. She was at the bar. 24 maybe. Long dark hair, tight black dress, heels. She was with two other girls, but she caught my eye and smiled, and that was it. I was gone. We talked for hours, or tried to talk over the music. She was a student, she said. Chulalongkorn University. Business administration. Her English was pretty good. Not perfect, but good enough. She laughed at my terrible Thai. She touched my arm when she talked. She made me feel interesting. I bought drinks for her and her friends. It cost maybe 2,000 baht. $50. In Vancouver, that would have bought 2 drinks. Here it made me feel generous. Powerful even. She came home with me that night. We took a taxi back to my place and she was impressed. She walked around the condo touching things. Said it was beautiful. Said I must be very successful. I didn't correct her. I liked how it felt. She stayed the weekend. Then the next weekend. Then she started leaving clothes in my closet, a toothbrush in the bathroom, shampoo in the shower. It happened so gradually, I didn't notice it happening until it had already happened. She was attentive. She'd cook Thai food in my kitchen, clean up without being asked. She'd massage my shoulders while I worked. She made my condo feel like a home instead of just a nice apartment I owned. The requests started small. Her phone bill was due. Could I help? It was 800 baht, $25. Of course I could help. Then her motorbike needed repairs. 3,000 baht, sure, no problem. Her mom was sick and needed medicine. 5,000 baht. I didn't question it. This is what boyfriends do, right? Especially foreign boyfriends who can afford it. She moved in officially around month 4, January 2023. We never had a conversation about it. She just stopped leaving. Her clothes filled half my closet. Her stuff took over the bathroom counter. She was there when I woke up and there when I went to sleep, and it felt right. It felt like progress. That's when things started shifting. Slowly enough that I didn't see it. Like water heating 1 degree at a time. She started having friends over. Thai girls I didn't know. They'd show up in the afternoon and hang out by the pool and drink and laugh loud enough that neighbours started giving me looks. I'd come out of my bedroom after a work call, and there'd be 5 people in my living room I'd never met. Knock said it was normal. Thai people are social, they share everything. I'm just not used to it because I'm Canadian. She made it sound like my problem. Like I was being uptight. The money started adding up. Her expenses were now 30,000 baht a month. About 1,200 Canadian. For what I wasn't entirely sure. She didn't work. She wasn't in school as far as I could tell. She'd sleep until noon. Go out with friends. Come home late. I was funding a lifestyle I wasn't part of. But one justified it. 30,000 baht was nothing compared to what I'd spend on a girlfriend in Vancouver. Dinners and movies and activities would have been way more. This was cheap. This was fine. This was just cultural difference. My work started suffering. The time zone thing was harder than I'd expected. I'd be on calls until 2 in the morning trying to sync with Vancouver. Then Nock would wake me up at 9 wanting to go somewhere. I was always tired, always half present. My manager started making comments. Nothing harsh, but I could tell he was noticing. The building started showing its true colours too. The first few months, everything worked. But by month 6 things were breaking. The elevator would get stuck. The pool filter broke and stayed broken for 3 weeks. The gym equipment started falling apart. The air conditioning in the hallways died, and it took 2 months to fix. The management company was useless. I'd file complaints and get vague promises. Nothing changed. I realised the building was majority foreign-owned, which sounded good in theory, but meant nobody was actually invested in maintaining it. We were all temporary. All transient. The Thai owners were investors who didn't live here. Nobody cared. The weekly poker games got darker too. Derek stopped showing up as much. Rumour was he'd made some bad trades. Lost big. He got quiet and paranoid. Stopped buying rounds. Then one Thursday, Tom mentioned Derek got arrested. Something about crypto fraud. Nobody knew details. He just disappeared. Tom's bar was having problems too. Visa issues. The authorities were cracking down. He was working there illegally apparently, had been for years. Now they wanted bribes or they'd shut him down. He started drinking more, talking less. The easy confidence was gone. The English teachers were cycling through new faces every month. Guys who'd show up for a few weeks then vanish, overstay their visa, run out of money, get deported. Everyone had a story about a friend who'd gotten in trouble. Everyone insisted they were different. They were smart. They had it figured out. I started feeling isolated. My Vancouver friends had stopped reaching out. Different time zones, different lives. When we did talk, I'd tell them everything was great, post photos of the pool and the view, make it sound like paradise. They'd say they were jealous, but I could hear the doubt in their voices. My family was worse. My mom would call and ask when I was coming home. I'd say I am home. She'd go quiet. My dad would ask about my finances, whether I was being smart. I'd get defensive, tell him I owned property, that I was doing better than most people my age. He'd say okay in that way. That meant he didn't believe me. Around month 8, Knock's story started falling apart. I found her ID card one day. She'd left her purse open. I wasn't snooping, I just saw it. The birth year didn't match. She wasn't 24. She was 28. Same age as me, basically. I asked her about it. Casually. She got defensive immediately. Said she never said she was 24, I must have assumed. Which was technically true, but also completely a lie. She'd let me believe it. She'd crafted the whole student thing. The innocent young girl thing. Then I found out she wasn't a student at all. A friend of Tom's mentioned seeing her at a club in Nana, working hostess. High-end place where girls earned commission on drinks and took customers out for extra money. She'd been doing it the whole time we'd been together. I confronted her. She cried. Said she was going to tell me. Said she only did it before we got serious. Said she stopped once we were together. Said Thai girls have to survive somehow and I wouldn't understand because I'm foreign and rich. She turned it around on me, made me feel guilty for even asking. I forgave her. What else was I going to do? Kick her out? I was in love. Or I thought I was. Or I was just lonely. And she filled the space, and losing her meant being alone in a foreign country with nobody. She promised things would change. She'd get a real job. She'd be honest. She'd stop having so many friends over. She'd respect my work schedule. It lasted maybe 2 weeks. Then her brother needed bail money. 80,000 baht. About 3,000 Canadian. Some kind of legal trouble she was vague about. Her family didn't have it. She cried on my shoulder. Said her family would lose face. That her brother might go to prison. That she had nobody else to ask. I paid it. Wired the money to an account she gave me. Never met the brother. Never saw proof there was a brother. Just trusted her, because what else could I do at that point? A month later, it was her family's land dispute. 150,000 baht. About 6,000 Canadian. They needed a lawyer. They needed to pay court fees. It was urgent. It was life or death. It was always something. I was in deep now. I'd paid out over 300,000 baht in 8 months. That's 12,000 Canadian. My savings that I'd kept after buying the condo were draining. I was living on my salary, but that didn't leave much buffer. I started feeling the squeeze. The building got worse. Water shutoffs became regular. The security guards changed every month. Nobody knew anyone. There were break-ins. Someone's condo got robbed on the 15th floor. The police came. Took a report. Nothing happened. Rumours started spreading that the developer was bankrupt. That they'd oversold units. That the building maintenance fund was empty. That we were all fucked, basically. Foreign owners in a building with no recourse and no way to force anyone to fix anything. I tried talking to other owners. Everyone had complaints. Nobody had solutions. One guy said he'd been trying to sell for 6 months, no offers. The market was flooded. Chinese investors who'd bought pre-construction were dumping units. New buildings were going up everywhere. Supply way exceeded demand. I started looking at listings out of curiosity. Similar units in my building were listed at 6 million baht. Some at 5.5. Mine had cost 8.5 just a year earlier. The math made me sick. If those listings were real, I'd lost millions of baht in value. 40% easy, maybe more. But I couldn't think about that. I was trapped. I couldn't sell without massive loss. I couldn't leave, because then what was it all for? I had to make it work. I had to believe it would turn around. Month 12, February 2024. I tried to set boundaries with Knock. Told her we needed to talk about money, about her friends, about respect. She didn't take it well. She screamed at me, called me cheap, said I'd changed, said when we met I was generous and kind, and now I was just another controlling foreign man who thought he owned her because he paid for things. She threw a glass. It shattered against the wall. Neighbours knocked. Asked if everything was okay. I said yes through the door, feeling humiliated. She left for 3 days. Didn't answer calls, didn't answer messages. I was panicked, relieved, guilty, angry. Everything at once. When she came back, she acted like nothing happened. Crawled into bed next to me. Said she missed me. Said she was sorry. Said we just needed to understand each other better. I gave her an ultimatum without calling it that. Said we needed to be partners. Equal, that I couldn't keep funding everything, that she needed to contribute or at least be honest about what was happening. She said her family had a business opportunity, a small restaurant. They needed investment. 400,000 baht. About 16,000 Canadian. I'd be a partner. I'd get returns. It was good investment. Better than keeping money in the bank. I said no. First time I'd ever said no to her about money. First time I'd actually stood firm. She changed. Her face went cold. She said, okay, I'd regret this. Her family was disappointed. She was disappointed. She left again. This time when she came back 2 days later, she brought 2 guys with her. Cousins, she said. They needed a place to stay for a few days. These guys were not students, not friendly. They were in their 30s. Tattoos, hard faces. They barely acknowledged me. They set up in my living room, drank my beer, smoked on my balcony, gave me looks that made it clear I was tolerated in my own home. Nock acted like this was normal, like I was being weird for being uncomfortable. The cousins stayed 4 days. They knew my schedule. They commented on my laptop, my watch, what time I went to the gym. It felt like surveillance, like threat assessment. When they finally left, I told Nock that couldn't happen again. She smiled, said of course, said she understood, but the message was sent. She had people who could make my life difficult. People who knew where I lived and what I had and how vulnerable I actually was. I started sleeping with a chair propped against my bedroom door. I'd wake up at every sound, every footstep in the hallway, every elevator ding. I realized I didn't feel safe in my own home, in the place I'd spent my life savings to own. I was scared, and that's when I knew I had to get out, however much it cost. Whatever I lost, staying was more expensive than leaving. The condo wasn't an investment anymore, it was a trap, and I was running out of time to escape it. The decision to sell felt like admitting defeat. Like everything I'd told myself for the past year was a lie. But I was past pride, past ego. I just needed out. I contacted a real estate agent, not ploy. I'd blocked her number months ago when she kept trying to sell me on other investment opportunities. This was a guy from an expat Facebook group, British, been in Bangkok 15 years. He had that weary honesty that comes from seeing it all. He came to view the condo on a Tuesday morning, walked around, checked the fixtures, stood at the window for a long time looking at the view. Then he turned to me, and I could see it in his face. He knew exactly what this was. How much did you pay? He asked. 8.5 million, I said. He nodded slowly. When? About 14 months ago. He pulled out his phone, showed me listings. Same building. Similar units. 6.2 million, 5.9, one at 5.5. All sitting on the market for months, no movement. The market shifted, he said. Chinese investors dumped. Too many buildings went up at once. Your area got oversupplied. Plus this building has a reputation now. Maintenance issues. Management problems. Foreign buyers are wary. What can I get? I asked. He was quiet for a moment. If you need to move it fast, 5.5 maybe, 6 if you're lucky and willing to wait. That's a 40% loss. He shrugged. Not sympathy exactly, just reality. Yeah, mate. It is. I've seen worse. Guy on the 19th floor, bought at 9 million. Can't give it away now. Been trying for 8 months. I felt sick. My entire life savings, 340,000 Canadian dollars. Gone. Just gone. evaporated into a market correction I didn't see coming because I was too busy believing the dream. List it at 6.5, I said. Let's see what happens. He did. Professional photos. English and Thai description. Posted on all the major sites. Thai property, DD property, DD property, hit flat. International sites too. We waited, nothing, not even viewings. 3 weeks went by, the agent called. Said we needed to drop the price. Market's soft, he said. Buyers have options. We're competing with cheaper units. 6 million, I said. He dropped it. We waited another 2 weeks. One viewing, Chinese investor. Looked around for 10 minutes. Made an offer of 4.8. I refused. He walked. Knock was still in the condo. Still acting like everything was fine. Still bringing friends over. Still asking for money. Her cousin's medical emergency. Her aunt's funeral expenses. Always something. I'd stopped giving her anything. She'd stopped being nice about it. She knew I was trying to sell. She'd seen the agent, seen the listing photos being taken. She didn't ask about it directly, but I could feel her calculating. Figuring out her next move, one morning in April, she told me she was pregnant. I was at my desk, working. Or trying to work. She came out of the bedroom wearing one of my t-shirts, stood in front of my monitor until I looked up. I'm late, she said. Late for what? My period. 2 weeks now. I think I'm pregnant. My stomach dropped. We've been careful, mostly. There were a few times, but mostly careful. I stared at her, trying to read whether this was real or just another play. Have you taken a test? I asked. Not yet. I wanted to tell you first. Let's get a test. We can go now. She shook her head. I already know. I can feel it. We need to talk about what we're going to do. There it was. The setup. I could see it coming, like watching a car crash in slow motion. If I keep it, she said, I'll need support. Medical care is expensive. I'll need to stop working. You'll need to take care of me, of us. I thought you weren't working, I said. Her face hardened. You know what I mean. I'll need money. For the baby. For everything. How much? She looked at the ceiling like she was calculating, but I knew she already had the number ready. 300,000 baht. For the first year, medical, baby things. My family will help, but they'll need compensation for their time. That's 12,000 Canadian dollars. I don't know Canadian money, she said. I only know what a baby costs in Thailand. Take a test first, I said, then we'll talk. She got angry, said I didn't trust her, that I thought she was lying, that this is how I treat the mother of my child. She stormed out, slammed the door. I sat there feeling like the walls were closing in. She came back 3 hours later, calm, said she'd thought about it, said maybe it was too soon, that she wasn't ready to be a mother, that the best thing would be to end the pregnancy, but that cost money too. The procedure, the recovery, she'd need someone to take care of her after. 300,000 baht, she said again, same number, different story. I told her no, told her I knew what she was doing, that I'd pay for a pregnancy test and a doctor's visit, and if she was actually pregnant, we'd figure it out from there. But I wasn't giving her 300,000 baht for a maybe baby or a convenient abortion story. She went cold, said I'd regret this, said her family wouldn't forget. She left again. This time, she took most of her stuff. I thought maybe that was it. Maybe she was finally gone. But the messages started, first from her, then from numbers I didn't recognize. Her brother, her cousin, the guys who'd stayed at my place, all saying I owed her, that I'd used her, that there would be consequences. The threats weren't specific, nothing I could take to police, just implications. We know where you live. We know your schedule. Be careful. Watch yourself. That kind of thing. I told my agent we needed to drop the price again. 5.5 million. Just get it sold. He listed it. We got a viewing 2 days later. Thai investor looked at the place for 5 minutes. Said he was buying 3 units in the building. Bulk purchase, cash. He'd offer 5 million even. Take it or leave it. 5 million baht was 200,000 Canadian. I paid 340. I'd lose $140,000. 41% of my life savings just gone. But the messages kept coming. I saw one of Knock's cousins in the lobby one morning. He didn't say anything. Just looked at me and smiled. I took the stairs to avoid the elevator with him. I told the agent to counter at 5.2. The investor said 5.1. Final offer. He was buying the other units at the same price. He knew I was desperate. He knew the building was shit. He knew I had no leverage. I accepted. 5.1 million baht. The sale would take 3 weeks to process. Title transfer, legal paperwork, bank transfers. Those 3 weeks were the longest of my life. I barely slept. Every sound made me jump. I started keeping my passport and laptop in a bag next to my bed, ready to run if I needed to. Knock showed up one more time. Let herself in with a key I didn't know she still had. She wasn't pregnant. Of course she wasn't. She just wanted to see if I'd really leave, if I'd really sell. "You're making a mistake," she said. "You could have had a good life here. You just didn't understand how things work." I asked her to leave. She looked around the condo one more time, at the view, at the furniture I was leaving behind, at the life I was abandoning. "You'll regret this," she said. "Thailand isn't the problem. You are." Maybe she was right. I don't know. I just needed her gone. The sale closed on a Tuesday. I went to the lawyer's office, signed papers, watched the numbers transfer. 5.1 million baht hit my Thai bank account. I converted it immediately to Canadian dollars. $204,000. I'd put in 340. I was taking out 204. $136,000 gone. Plus all the money I'd given Knock. Plus the 1.5 years of my life. Plus whatever was left of my ability to trust my own judgment. I didn't go back to the condo. I'd already packed. 1 suitcase, my laptop, my passport, everything else I left. The furniture, the kitchen stuff, the clothes that didn't fit in the suitcase. Let the new owner have it. Let someone else deal with it. I went straight to the airport, changed my flight to the earliest available, same day, 6 hours from then. I sat in the departure lounge with my bag and my laptop and my destroyed savings account and waited. Bangkok kept going around me, families travelling, business people on phones, tourists excited for their vacation, everyone moving through this city like it was just a place, just a destination, not a trap, not a mistake, just Thailand. The relief didn't hit until the plane actually took off. We lifted off the runway and I watched Bangkok shrink below me. The buildings, the traffic, the river snaking through it all. From up here it looked beautiful, orderly even. You couldn't see the rot from 30,000 feet. I cried, not dramatically, just quiet tears running down my face while the person next to me pretended not to notice. I cried for the money, for the time. For the version of myself that got on a plane 18 months ago thinking he'd figured out the secret to life. The flight to Vancouver was 14 hours. I slept most of it. The kind of deep, exhausted sleep where you wake up and don't know where you are. When we landed, it was raining. Grey skies. Cold. Everything I'd been running from. But walking out of that airport felt like breathing for the first time in months. I was home. Actually home, not the fantasy version. The real version, with rain and expensive coffee and rules that protected me instead of working against me. My parents picked me up. My mum hugged me for a long time. Didn't ask questions. My dad grabbed my suitcase. In the car, they made small talk about traffic and weather and anything except what had happened. "We can talk about it when you're ready," my mum said. "I'm not sure I'll ever be ready," I said. "That's okay too," she said. I moved back into my old bedroom, 29 years old, 1 suitcase, $200,000 in the bank, no apartment, no job lined up, no plan, starting over from a position worse than where I'd been 2 years earlier. The hardest part wasn't the money. Money you can make back eventually. The hardest part was looking at myself in the mirror and seeing someone who'd been so easily fooled. So desperate to believe in the shortcut that I ignored every warning sign. I'd thought I was different, smarter, more prepared. I'd done research. I'd run the numbers. I'd convinced myself this was strategy, not fantasy. But I wasn't different. I was exactly like every other guy who shows up in Bangkok with money and loneliness and the belief that the rules don't apply to him, that he can buy paradise, that he can own a piece of it and it won't own him back. The condo was never really mine, not in any way that mattered. I had the title, I had the deed, But I didn't have power. I didn't have recourse. I didn't have community that would protect me instead of exploit me. And I can't even be angry at her anymore. She was doing what she needed to survive in a system designed to extract money from guys like me. Was she dishonest? Yeah. Was she manipulative? Absolutely. But I was the one who chose to believe it. I was the one who kept paying. I was the one who confused transaction for relationship. Thailand wasn't the problem. Bangkok wasn't the problem. The problem was me thinking I could escape my life instead of fixing it. The problem was thinking geography could solve what was really about loneliness and purpose and belonging. I lost $136,000 to learn that lesson. Some people lose more. Some people never get out. So yeah. I sold my condo at a 40% loss just to escape Bangkok, and I'd do it again. Because staying would have cost me more than money. It would have cost me everything else. Marcus's story ends there. But the pattern doesn't. Right now, there are thousands of guys in Bangkok and Pattaya and Phuket living some version of what he lived. Believing they're different. Believing they've got it figured out. Believing the dream. Here's what Marcus learned that I want you to hear. Property ownership in Thailand is legally complicated for foreigners. You can own a condo. You can't own land. But ownership on paper doesn't mean control. It doesn't mean the building will be maintained. It doesn't mean you can sell when you need to. It doesn't mean you have any power when things go wrong. The market can turn. Supply can overwhelm demand. Chinese investors can dump entire buildings' worth of units overnight. Developers can go bankrupt. Management companies can be corrupt. And you have almost no legal recourse because you're foreign and temporary, and the system isn't designed to protect you. The relationship pattern Marcus fell into isn't unique either. Financial exploitation dressed up as cultural difference. Love bombing that turns to dependency, that turns to extraction. The requests that start small and grow. The family emergencies that never end. The implied threats when you try to set boundaries. Not every relationship in Thailand follows this pattern. Of course not. But enough do that you need to go in with your eyes open, with boundaries set, with the understanding that money and love get complicated when there's a power imbalance built on wealth disparity. Marcus ignored every red flag, the pressure to buy fast, the developer financing, the lawyer recommended by the agent, the building still under construction, the relationship that moved too fast, the requests for money that escalated, the isolation from his support system back home. He ignored them because he wanted to believe. We all want to believe when we're lonely and tired and desperate for change. But belief without discernment is just wishful thinking. And wishful thinking costs money. The bigger pattern here is about what we're really running from. Marcus wasn't running to Bangkok. He was running from Vancouver, from loneliness. From a life that felt small and grey and pointless. He thought changing location would change that. It didn't. It just gave him new problems in a place where he had less power to solve them. If you're sitting wherever you are right now thinking about buying property in Southeast Asia, I'm not telling you not to. I'm telling you to do 10 times the research Marcus did. Hire your own independent lawyer. Understand the market cycles. Know your legal rights and limitations. Have an exit strategy. Keep money in reserve. Don't put your entire life savings into a condo in a country where you don't speak the language or understand the systems. If you're in a relationship where money keeps flowing one direction and you're not sure why, that's not cultural difference. That's extraction. Love doesn't bankrupt you. Partnership doesn't leave you afraid in your own home. If you're making excuses for behavior that feels wrong, listen to that feeling. And if you're already in too deep, if you're living Marcus's story right now, know that the loss might be your escape route, that sometimes cutting your losses is the smartest financial decision you can make. That the sunk cost fallacy keeps people trapped in situations that only get worse. Marcus paid $136,000 to learn he wasn't free in Bangkok. He was just in a different cage. A golden one with a view, but still a cage. And sometimes the most expensive mistake is staying in a bad situation because you've already invested too much to leave. He's back in Vancouver now, working again, rebuilding his savings, dating carefully. Living in that same grey, rainy city he tried to escape, but he's not running anymore. He's building something real. Something that can't be taken from him by market crashes or corrupt management or people who saw him as an ATM. That view from the 23rd floor was beautiful. But it wasn't worth what it cost, not even close. And he knows that now. This is Bar Girl Baddies. Thanks for watching. Drop a comment if this resonated. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. And if you're thinking about making a similar move, maybe watch this one more time first. Stay safe out there. Paradise always has a price. Make sure you can actually afford it.